Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's ManoDuster777, and we're back inside of Destiny here with you, a weekly Nightfall Solo Strike Guide. This week, we're going to be going up against Omnigul. Apologies for not getting this out sooner. I was visiting my parents over the weekend, and just got home late last night, so we were able to put this together this morning. During the narration, I'm going to show you the weapons and the abilities that I'm going to be using.
Remember Omnigul? Hive General with a lovely voice? She's back.
Vanguard scouts report she's undone her death.
Undone her death? You make it sound like she pulled her knitting apart.
Eris would tell you not to make light of this.
That's why she's not here.
There's no telling what else might follow, Guardian. Destroy Omnigul and any lingering threats.
So the first thing I'm going to be showing you is my VoidWalker with my Nothing Manacles, which are going to be amazing for this strike. Get on your Sparrow and let's roll.
Can come back to life. How do we make sure she stays dead? I wonder if the Hive think that about us.
To the Hive, death is relative. We'll face Omnigul as many times as it takes.
So the modifiers for this week's Nightfall are Epic, Void Burn, where void damage from any source is greatly increased, Juggler, where no ammo drops are available for your equipped weapon, Catapult, which I'm going to be using, like I said, to my advantage with scatter grenades, where grenade recharge rate is greatly increased, and Exposure, which is a little bit of a problem, where Guardian shields are increased but do not replenish. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be wrecking these big mobs of Fallen with my scatter grenades. You can see here that my nades are just coming back constantly, and I'm able to use those pretty consistently to take these guys out as quickly as possible. You can see I'm barely even using I'm not even really using my primary weapon, honestly. They're just that good. It's just that fun to do, especially to see huge mobs of enemies. First thing that I'm going to do after that is I'm going to be taking out the SIVA outlets right there and the nodes. One thing I'm going to try and do as much as possible is get as many medals as I possibly can as well. So go ahead and take care of that big mess of enemies. They're just mostly shanks, very easy to take out, but fun to take out. Again, there are going to be a couple of visible guys, and one thing that I'm going to do in this opening room is I'm going to try and funnel as many of the guys into a advantageous position for me. You can see I'm forcing them to come over to my left side. I'm pushing forward so they feel like they need to engage me straight in front of me rather than behind me. That is probably the number one thing about this Nightfall, is the number of ads that want to crowd around you and surround you. Like you can see right there, since I was hanging by the backside, they wanted to come around. But you will see right now that I'm going to be taking out this large group of ads. I'm going to be forcing them to basically come in between those two large columns. This is a great Nightfall in case if you have your Black Wax Idol or Ether Seeds to get a lot of Glimmer as well. Good opportunity to do that. Again, I'm going to be trying to take out these guys as much as possible with my grenades, but sometimes it's okay to use a primary. I'm trying to also get a couple of ammo drops here and there. Ammo drops will come sometimes when you are just using your grenade abilities. Now what's going to happen is over here on the left, there's going to be a large group of fallen enemies that are going to be coming out here. Start taking a look at them, but during that, I have to take out these Ascended Knights. They are a little bit of a problem, but go ahead and take them out as quickly as possible. And again, you'll see that there are still some Hive that are filtering through, but the biggest thing you need to watch out for are those large mobs of Dregs and Vandals that are going to be coming over there. Very easy to knock out. You just have to be prepared for it and make sure you have a couple of grenades ready to go. Again, grenades are not a problem. You can see I'm getting some ammo from grenade kills, but you can just see you get so much ammunition and so much grenade energy from that. When Cade comes in with his little vocal cue, come over to the stairs and do a Nova Bomb like I did just before. Clear out that massive mob of enemies and then move forward. Make sure you don't just run around the corner there on the left side. Make sure you actually take out the SIVA nodes. Again, that'll be a one-shot with a good medium to high impact sniper rifle. Now, one thing you're going to have to focus on in this outer area here is the fact that most of the enemies are on the outside. So what I'm going to try and do is draw them inside as much as possible and try and force them to engage my grenades as much as possible. I'm going to be using my supers on occasion just against big waves of enemies or areas. Sometimes when I use Vortex together, it'll actually keep the enemies from pushing forward, which would be a nice break for me. But again, I'm going to take care of these Vandals and these snipers that are up at the top. Sometimes I just don't want them sniping, so I actually will not actually kill them, but I will go out of my way to make sure that they are knocked off the ledge so I don't have to worry about them anymore. Again, I see a large group of Shanks that I don't want to deal with, so you can see that they just stop at the perimeter of my Nova Bomb. They will appear behind you, so be aware that they will appear behind you. It is that kind of a thing where you have to watch out for it. Luckily, it's not solar burn. If it was solar burn, you could probably just take Gallarhorn to Omnigul and just wreck her, but it's not, so it's void burn. So try and use that against, use the scatter grenades as much as possible and see how I'm forcing them to come into the interior of the building instead of me engaging them. Again, we're going to take care of that Siva node. You don't have to, but I like doing it just because in case if I need to move to a different area. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit safe and secure, especially on an area earlier on in the Nightfall. I'm doing pretty well for time, but I'm going to try and push a little bit faster and a little bit faster forward. Okay, again, I'm going to try and take care of this Splicer Vandal and make sure that he's at least knocked off so that I don't have to worry about getting sniped from a weird position. I'm going to be looking to hold on to as many of my heavy shots as possible because I'm going to use them on Omnigul and try and burn her, or at least burn some of the massive adds that are becoming a little bit later on. Again, chucking scatter grenades as soon as I can. Note that even though you have increased grenade throw distance with Nothing Manacles, that sometimes they don't go as far as you would think. One thing I might recommend is if you're not used to using Nothing Manacles on your Warlock, I might recommend actually going into a activity and actually just seeing how they work, because they are a little bit finicky. Sometimes when you throw them right on the ground, they'll bounce once, depending on the angle that you put them in. This guy I just wanted to take out with a melee because I was bored and wanted to push through this Nightfall. There is the guy up on the top left corner. You could use your grenades or you can use the sniper. I decided to use grenades. I probably should have just used sniper to push through it because sometimes they don't always trigger the way you want them to. So, kill that Vandal, and at this point, most of your enemies are going to be down below. There might be one or two stragglers over on the right side. Again, I'm going to try and take them out as much as possible with my sniper rifle. Clear them out. But the rest of them are going to be focused down in that bottom area where the massive adds are, and they're just waiting for you. But that's fine, because you have grenades. And using scatter grenades here just wrecks them, because they all have void shields. So it's not very difficult to take them out and to get your grenades back immediately. Very easy to do. One thing you might have to watch out for from the final Splicer Captain is he likes to run around and teleport, especially away from grenades. And so you can see he moves pretty quickly away. I'm trying to get as much life as possible from Life Steal and Embrace the Void. But you can see here I kind of just get done with it. I'm like, okay, stop running away. I'm done with you. That is a choice. Just know that you are always going to have to deal with a couple of these Splicer Vandals that seem to always hang out until you kill the final Splicer Captain. A couple of dregs here in front of you. Take them out with one quick scatter grenade, and you're gone. All right, so we're going to plow through this next area. You don't even have to wait. Just go forward as quickly as you possibly can. One thing you're going to have to make a choice about is when you get to Skywatch, you're going to have to make a choice if you're going to engage any enemies at all, or if you're going to choose just to push through to the next area. I'm actually going to just push through as I don't want to waste any time. I want as much time on Omnigul as possible in case if I do wipe. So you can see here, I just run through it. Now, one thing you're going to have to watch out for is there are going to be a number of Crystal here, and the Protector of the Will is going to be here. He used to sit outside the ship, but now he doesn't. I think it's just part of the new envisioned Nightfall Strike. He's supposed to be protecting Omnigul. Doesn't do a very good job. But anyway, take out those guys. Again, I'm trying to get as much life back as possible because you want to try and go into the Omnigul room with as much life as possible. Just because the enemies will, and Omnigul will do a lot of damage. Okay. One thing that's going to be new about this next area is all of the Hive slowing down gas is what I call it. It's like the green stuff that looks like there's a spell coming out of it. There's going to be a lot more of those in all of the rooms. It's something that you're going to have to watch out for in the new Envision Strike. Little hop over, most of those areas will be easy to wipe out. And check out that left side of that area. If you actually stand there, you actually won't get slowed down. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to proc Omnigul and all the ads to spawn, but then I'm going to funnel them through. Again, I'm making them come to me, and that way I can use my scatter grenades how I want them to. You might have one or two come through. Just use your primary or your melee. Not very difficult. Again, it's sometimes scatter grenade is finicky and it doesn't take out the enemies that you think it will. It's not always 100% consistent. There will be a Boomer Knight at the end that you'll want to take out. Very easy to take out with a high impact sniper. Now, one thing I need to watch out for are the wizards here. I'm going to actually find them up above, and I'm going to take them out. I don't even care about using heavy because they are something that's going to slow me down, something that's going to keep me from completing the Nightfall in a good amount of time. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find all these hollowed thralls and just try and get them and force them to come down and engage me. Because then I don't want them hiding in any places because they might take me out. There is going to be a Hive Boomer up on top. Quick sniper shot will take him out. Again, I'm going to get the last Hollow Thrall that is actually there and knock him out. Then I'm going to proc Omnigul's next wave of ads. One thing you're going to have to watch out for, you're going to have to watch out for the Ogre that is going to spawn. Now, there are a couple of changes to this area and to these spawns. There's going to be a lot more Boomer Knights that are going to appear, and there's an additional wave. Now, when I engage these Knights here at this point, I actually don't get my grenade kills off on them, so you have to be able to back up very quickly. This is kind of an example of what not to do. I probably could have just used my rockets, but I really wanted to try and get as much life as possible, or at least get some decent ammo. So you can see I use my primary on that one, weaken this guy up, try and use my melee on him, just so I can start getting my grenades back quicker. That'll also give me a lot of super energy from killing that yellow bar knight. But you can see there are a lot more boomers than in case if you play this in year 1 or 2. There are a lot more Ascendant Knights that are going to be trying to kill you with the boomers. Now, in addition, there are going to be another wave. When Omnigul gets to the last room, there's going to be another wave in the very back that's going to try and force you backwards again and try and make your time not optimal. You can see that I'm kind of using a grenade to chuck through a lot of those enemies that are kind of coming through that door right in front. So as soon as I take those guys out, I'm going to show you guys a couple of times that I wiped. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, it's possible to wipe on this, and luckily it doesn't take a lot of time to go through the Omnigul damage phase. In fact, it seems that the faster you go on this Omnigul, this version of Omnigul, the better it goes. I find that you fight against less ads, less waves of ads. It almost seems like they keep throwing ads at you, regardless of if you've killed them or not. Whereas with the other Omnigul strike, with the year 1 and 2 version, there were just ads, and then once you killed the ads, you can just go up and kill Omnigul. Whereas here, it seems like there are enemies that are going to spawn at the end. So one thing that's going to happen, and the biggest difference, is the doors close in the first versus the year 1 and 2 Omnigul strike. The door is closed, and Omnigul sits up there, and that's essentially where you have to do damage to her. And she's going to be shooting you as well as chucking enemies at you from behind her. There are going to be a lot of enemies that are going to be teleporting from the Hive teleporter over behind her. One thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use my scatter grenades to my advantage. Now, that Nova Bomb was just to trigger energy drain and lifesteal to get the grenades and stuff to start proccing and start just to get the ball rolling. Again, you can see right there, Scatter Grenade didn't work quite the way I thought it was going to. It bounced a couple of times. But again, you can see the waves of enemy comes, and then as soon as I see her and see those enemies getting close to me, I chuck a grenade and I hit them and get out of there. So one thing you need to watch out for is with scatter grenade, you can do damage to yourself, which is the second way that I died and that I wiped, but I just wanted to show you that so you can be careful. Now, the first time Omnigul screams, there's going to be ads that are going to spawn to your right. I'm waiting until my grenade energy comes back so I can engage them and start the cascade of just using those grenades. I don't get a kill the first time. I am going to take out one of those acolytes so he doesn't run up and start doing damage, because he has a void weapon. There's another one. We start to get the ball rolling here. You can see my grenades start to recharge very quickly, and once that starts to happen, taking out these large mobs of enemies is not difficult. Now, one thing you're going to have to watch out for with the waves, there is going to be a point where up by the old cheese spots, there is going to be a Hive Boomer that is going to appear, a Hive Knight. You'll notice that's one of the reasons why I don't go up in there. It also has the Hive slowing down material on it, so I'm going to try and get out of the way. You can see the Hive Boomers there, and I decided to leave them alone because I want to focus on Omnigul. One thing you're going to have to watch out for with Omnigul is I'm trying to stay off the ground, because it seems like to me that there is a lot of extra damage that Omnigul will spawn if you are on the ground. Like if you see there, I sat on the ground for just a second, but she was able to do a little bit more damage to me because of that. Now, at the second wave, that's when the Cursed Thralls are going to start running in, and they're probably the biggest threat to completing this Nightfall on solo as possible, because they are going to run at you far more aggressively than they did in year 1 and year 2. Again, I'm going to try and use my scatter grenades to clear this upper area. She has screamed again. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm just trying to get as much life as possible and stay away from those Cursed Thralls. They are not fun. Now that we've cleared the upper stairway, I'm going to take care of this Ascendant Knight that is over on the right with a boomer shot. Make sure that he doesn't bother me anymore. Now, when she screams the next time, there is going to be a number of enemies on your left, and that's going to include ogres. You can see here that I am collecting as much heavy ammunition as possible, because I'm going to use that to wipe her as quickly as possible. Because once you kill the last ogre, it's kind of the point of last return, of no return. You're going to have to kill her very quickly, or else you're going to face, like I said, those waves of enemies that don't seem to stop. Again, lots of acolytes. They're going to be the prime source of your void damage in this Nightfall. There's going to be ogres and acolytes who are going to shoot you. There's always one or two that always seem to make their way up to the top stairway. Make sure you take them out as quickly as possible. Luckily, I was able to take him out with quick melee. He tried to melee me first, which was good because he didn't use any void damage. The ogres are pretty easy to take out. Just keep dodging their beams. Not very difficult to do. If you want to use your special weapons, or if you want to use your primaries, this is a good opportunity to do that. I am going to attempt to, as much as possible, use my grenade energy to try and get as much life as possible. Because when you go up against Omnigul, like the last time with these last two screams, she doesn't stop shooting enemies at you, and the Cursed Thralls don't stop. So you want to take them out as quickly as possible and have as much life just in case. Now, that's the one thing with this final ogre, is he does a little bit of damage to me, so I'm a little bit out of position in terms of life, but I'm going to make it work. If you do go down over here to the left side, be ready to run up the stairs as soon as that ogre is dead. Because what will happen as soon as she screams a second time, the entire room gets covered by that hive slowing material. And I'm going to try and burn her as quickly as I possibly can here while keeping her ads away from me. I'm going to try and use a couple of rockets and alternate between rockets and using my super and using my scatter grenades. Now, at this position, there were a lot of Ascended Thralls that were coming at me, and luckily I was able to take care of them. Otherwise, 3 or 4 of them will run at you. And you saw how aggressive they are. They are very, very aggressive. Now, this was a little bit risky, but I had just killed a bunch of them. I didn't think they were going to spawn. I was able to use a heavy ammo synthesis. I got really lucky on that, and I heard it through my headphones. I heard that, so I knew that I was going to be encountering a lot of those Cursed Thralls, so I just stayed cool, stay safe. Again, try and use your scatter grenades against those enemies as much as possible, but my goal is to try and burn her at this moment, because you can see now she's starting to shoot that Hive Wizard poison, that keeps you slowed and poisons you and keeps you from getting life. And I'm just trying to stay away from that as much as possible. There are going to be acolytes and knights that are going to be coming up here. You can see that there is a Hive Knight that is going to be coming over to the left side. That's one of the reasons why I don't go over to that side, or at least bounce around. Do know that if you're in this back corner, Omnigul can hurt you, but with a well-placed Nova Bomb, you can take her out. So that is the Omnigul strike for this week. Again, all the enemies will disappear in just a second. I do not need my icebreaker on this system, so I'm going to open up the chest and get the Omnigul bond, but that's okay. Anyways, that is the guide for this week. I know a lot of people are struggling with it, so hopefully this video helped you out in some way. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, apologies that I did not get this out earlier. I would have got it out last night, but the internet connection at my parents' house is not very fast. It would have taken me 5 hours to upload a video. And I didn't have that because I was traveling. So I hope you, again, enjoyed the video. If you want to check out my Twitch live streams, I'm going to be helping people to raid in Nightfalls tonight. Hit that subscribe button for more Destiny content. And guys, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next time in the universe of Destiny.